You will have now listened to a message announcing that the webinar is being recorded because everything will be available for you to check even after this live session. My name is Maria Giuffrida. I'm from Trust IT. I'm one of the partners of this project who has come to the end of the second year of life. And we are very happy this afternoon to present to you the main results that we have achieved so far. We will go through a very rich agenda that you can see projected here on the slide. I will not mention everything in details, but the main idea and the main concept that I want to share is that, after 2 years, we have so many results that we have achieved. We will try to focus on the highlights just to give you an overview of the main things to know. But then, of course, we cannot be exhaustive. We invite every one of you to be in touch with us during or after the event with questions, with comments, with feedback, so that we can consider these events just as a starting point for our interaction, but then this interaction can continue and can actually bring more impact and more value to all of you even after the event. And you will have both the recording and the slides that will be presented available to you to be able to follow up and really digest everything that we will discuss today. You will see also many of the partners presenting and sharing the stage to provide their experience, but not all of them are included in these presentations, although everyone in the consortium, of course, has contributed, and my colleagues will say more to you about this. Just a final note on the, let's say, interaction for this live session. You have 2 ways available to interact with us for this webinar. One is to write in the chat that you see on the lower bar of Zoom, or the Q&A box. You can do both ways as you prefer. You can also add links or present yourself, introduce yourself in the chat to keep it more engaging. We will try to address the questions as soon as we receive them, so all the speakers know that they can write a reply, or they can reply to the question during their presentation. But for any longer question that reserves more time, we have also some minutes at the end of the event. In any case, we will try to address the questions as soon as they come. And we will see let's say 5 main topics for this event. We will start, of course, with an introduction by Knut, our coordinator, and then we will go through some of the main key exploitable results. So we will see the innovative teaching concept for standardization, the teacher support tool, then the showcase of all the pilots that have been done or that are in progress, some information about the SEN workshop agreement that EDU4Standards has started, and then lastly, some information about community activities and our students association that will be launched soon. So this is the menu, let's say, for today. I now leave the floor to Knut to start the presentation. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Maria, for the kind introduction, and also for hosting this event. Also, good afternoon from my side. Knut Blind here as coordinator on behalf of the Fraunhofer Institute for Innovation System Research. And I would really be very brief at the overview, because you have seen we have many interesting things to present. And 2 years. So it was 2 years ago we had the kickoff here at TU Berlin of the project, and we are quite confident that EDU4Standards would make a difference. And I'm still kind of very kind of confirmed by the last 2 years and the engagement of all the partners and participants to the project. And we will hear later why the topic is still high on the agenda, and maybe even higher on the agenda, because it's a main topic of the high-level forum, which was an outcome of the EU standardization strategy, and it has been continued. And here Woody will later report on the link between EDU4Standards to the high-level forum activities. There's the EU Code of Practice and also the Knowledge Valorization Initiative of DGRTD, which is a complementary activity. And here, also 2 years ago, we collected information about the demographic characteristics of the experts in standardization, and we see really an urgent need to address what is going to happen in the next few years. That means a significant share of these people are going to retire, and in order to keep the knowledge pool or the stock of people at the level we have, which is maybe not even sufficient even today. We have to really start at the very beginning. That means at the education level. And we have also to see that we are a little bit to see that in the context. And already the US standardization strategy by the Biden-Harris administration in 2023 addressed this topic. Recently, ANSI published its standardization strategy, which really had, I don't know, several links to the need to push more effort and to invest more in the education of experts. Therefore, here we see also in another big world region an increasing effort related to education about standardization. And on the other side, we see China's activities in the context of education about the standardization, but also other Asian countries. Therefore, Europe is challenged also in this context, which might be not a kind of short-term kind of topic, but a long-term. But I think we have to start now in order not to lose ground, also regarding competitiveness, which is a big topic related to standardization. Then we have national activities. For example, in Germany, the Mirror Committee also of the HLF is going to continue and will be kicked off now with a new state secretary in, I think, March 5th, where I'm representing the scientific kind of community in Germany. We have international activities, and we will come back to them when we talk about the SAN workshop agreement, because there's already an international one, which there's an ambition to move that up to the level of an ISO standards, which we also might contribute to. And then we have also new topics, AI maybe, but also quantum, and still not to forget is the challenges of the climate change, where also standardization and standards can maybe make at least a small contribution. Therefore, there are many challenges, and on the other hand, I think we have now really formed a very, very strong team of partners. We are well known. We are also open to others, and we will see that also later in the sustainability presentation, that there are things going on. We had a very successful event in Madrid hosted by the US community, and we will have another one in June in Graz, hosted by our partner, the University of Graz, also in June, which really kind of shows that this is maybe a sustainable platform also for EDU4Standards beyond 26. Next slide, please. These are the partners. I think at least half of them will show up later. Therefore, I'm not really going into the details, but board as consortium. Therefore, these are the overall objectives of EDU4Standards. It means empowering standardization through education in Europe. There are different activities going on, and we focus today mainly on the pilots, which are based on the teaching concepts and also the teaching support tools. That's one focus, and the other one is on this workshop agreement and its broader linkage to activities at the higher level forum. Next slide, please. That means you see we are here at the last year, and we hope to really make the best out of the pilots, which will be then also evaluated and be expanded, as you see later, not only the pilot, which has been originally, initially kind of included in our proposal, are running. There is more to come beyond that, what we have promised. Other activities, the academic extended stays in this student association will also be presented as main topics with a focus here on the last year, 26. Next slide, please. Yeah, and this is the homepage where you find all the materials and activities. And I think then I can, yeah, this is my last slide. That means Maria already mentioned the key exploitable results, which are kind of, yeah, led by different partners, and some of them will be elaborated a little bit more in depth, like the toolkit by Ivana, also the quality package by Rudi, other activities like what we are doing regarding roadmap and policy kind of proposals and briefs will kind of developed and published during the year, addressing in particular policymakers, and trust, as always, serves as a very stable and good platform for all our activities, and also here in this context for the support services for standards education beyond the project. And I think, yeah, and we will have now some insights in the different kind of subtopics here. And therefore, I hand over to Vladislav, from the Vilnius University, to talk about the innovative teaching concept of standardization. Thank you.
Thank you, Knut. Good afternoon, dear colleagues, listeners. Yeah, I will present what we have done in work package 2. In the first part of the project, the results, talk a little bit about the landscape of education to better understand our aims and our future project development work, and present some specific plans and specific results as well. So the background for my talk, for what came to establish, the work that came to establish the innovative teaching concept, was done under work package 2, which was aiming at designing teaching concept in standardization. And the task was, well, let's say, quite challenging. We had to translate some universal values and principles which are promoted by European Commission through certain policy documents, including the 2022 standardization strategy, but also industrial strategy, and then green and digital deals, and policy and strategy documents on education. So how all this convert into something more specific, while also respecting and embedding the specific properties or characteristics that European Commission wants the education to be like or about. And this is, you see here on the bottom right, human centricity, European values and interests, which was the core of our effort, and green and digital skills and gender equality, among other. So that was the background. And if I can go next slide, please. Yes, so 2 questions: what we had to do, or what the innovative teaching concept is about, and whom it is intended for, or how it can be used. So set of concepts and frameworks to stimulate supply and demand side of education about standardization. Why do we have to stimulate it? Because there is an understanding that we don't have enough specialists, not enough professionals. That was already mentioned by the first speaker. And also, well, those specialists that we have, maybe they have, well, let's say, not exactly the same perception of what does it take to be a professional, or what kind of knowledge a professional needs, because of the recent strategies, recent policy documents, which say we need more of human-centric, more of, I don't know, new type value-based approach to education for specific professions, standardization professions. But also the innovative teaching concept was supposed to help existing and attract new lecturers into education about standardization. So offer them some help how to create new syllabus, new programs, new materials, to broaden, to scale the educational effort. Next slide, please. So we have conducted quite exhaustive or systematic review of the state of arts. We looked at educational practices, we looked at statistics, we interviewed experts, both inside of universities and in standardization bodies, and those who, let's say, walk in both shoes. And the findings were not that bright in terms of the situation. So the situation is fragmented, education is very fragmented. There are no really best practices with regard to what to teach and how to teach, with exceptions of few textbooks, which are usually used at certain bachelor programs. And it's very professor-centric, the whole education. So it's very much depends on who is teaching and what topic, and then the approaches, content, and methods are very different. Next slide. And if you think about this fragmentation, next slide, please, yes, then it's very difficult to scale something if you don't have a uniform approach to the task, right? So it's like you have to mobilize thousands of people, yet preserve the diversity. And if you look at this slide, then it also shows that irrespective of the topic of standardization, the landscape, educational landscape, is also quite diverse in Europe. So we have a variety of disciplines which have different degree of popularity. Also, if you look either by master or bachelor level, or by choice of male or female students. So there is a great variety. And when it comes to, next slide, please, when it comes to specific topics related to standardization, we have, well, I would call it discrepancies or gaps. In some cases, we see that the program is very popular. For example, language acquisition. Languages are very important for the topic of standardization. We see it in certain recent developments like this new policy on open source, which was reported to be translated quite differently in different European languages, with causing problems, misunderstanding, and well, the standards must be translated to all European languages. Yet we don't have a good understanding whether and how this topic is taught in languages, which is one of the most popular programs in Europe. Then psychology, maybe also more difficult to imagine what exactly can be taught there, what kind of best practices. We also see on this slide that there are many imbalances in terms of male or female students. And in some cases, if you think about it, that traditionally standards were taught for engineers or in engineering programs, and those are mostly male dominated. But increasingly, standards are recognized to be important in many different disciplines, in some of which they are dominated by female, like education science. We need teachers to teach about standards, and it's 4 times more female students than male students. And we simply have to think about it. Maybe everything is fine there, but we have to be aware that those discrepancies or imbalances exist, and maybe we need new, more interesting, different approaches to educate about standardization and educate educators about standardization. Next slide, please. And then one more thing, which is generic, not specifically bound to education about standardization. It's again the whole, not even European, but global challenge or issue or a problem, if I may say so, with education. And this is peculiar that education remains today siloed in terms of the use of informational resources. It's not difficult to find PowerPoints for specific topic that you look for. And actually, in recent survey of educators about standardization, it was found that PowerPoints are one of the most searched for resources. So people find it time-consuming to develop their own PowerPoints, and respectively they search for it. But if you think about exchanging the best practice, exchanging the content, exchanging materials, irrespective of the discipline, we don't have good enough tools and we don't have good enough interoperability. And that's what is one of the important future developments, that we have to overcome those limitations, and EDCOS is prepared for that. EDCOS sets the foundation for that. Can I go to the next slide, please? So first I will show you this hierarchical model, or it's codenamed pyramid model or framework model of innovative teaching concept of standardization, which shows how different levels of educational system interact. And if I can go to the next slide immediately. Yes, thank you. So here it shows specifically for the work that has been done in work package 2, starting with, we had 3 tasks, T2.1, T2.2, and T2.3, and each task contributed to very important elements of this pyramid model, starting from setting or developing a hierarchical model of intended learning outcomes, ILOs, which explicitly incorporate this idea of EU core values and interests in education about standardization. So it's a competence model which says what kind of knowledge, what kind of skills, what kind of responsibilities the learners must have if they are to be educated about standardization at different educational levels, starting from kindergarten until doctoral education. Then in the second, task 2.2, we look at the landscape, which I presented, at the methods, at gaps, and also at what is missing from systemic point of view to promote education about standardization. And at task 2.3, developed teacher support tool and guidance materials to help existing and new lecturers to develop their curricula, to find useful materials if they want to start teaching about standardization. And the speaker, next speaker will present this in more details. Yes. And now the question was, so with this siloed landscape, with fragmentation, with lack of interoperability between different learning management systems at different universities, between regions, how can we promote a topic of education about standardization? And one answer, maybe not the only one, but what we know also from research and on standardization, that network effects is one powerful tool that when network effects are present, we can expect bottom-up drive for scaling something, for adoption of something. So in this case, we want to scale, we want to see adoption of teaching about standardization. And so we have to generate network effect. But network effects, for them to be implemented or for them to be realized or to be present, we need the exchange and staying power and complementary benefits. So this is what the theory says. And that actually is implemented at this or recognized in this pyramid model. At the bottom level, it says we need those aids or technical aids and implementation guides, which can help educators exchange complementary products. In our case, it's open educational resources. Can I please go to the next slide? So we'll talk a little bit now about the future tasks. And this is one specific development, which was already mentioned also about CWA, SAN Workshop Agreement, can be part of that work, but necessarily in this format. It can be also a different development, but we should foster standardization in education about standardization. And at the pyramid level, it is level 1, the strategic level with ILO framework, which establishes new competencies according to policy desires for new view, human centricity, European values, European interests, what knowledge, what skills, what responsibilities must be there for learners. This is one. And then at the bottom level, to support exchange of best practice of educational materials, we need technical tools. We need meta language descriptors or standards or vocabulary, standard vocabulary to describe our teaching material. So not just I share my PowerPoint, not just that I put somewhere on the web an article, but to be more specific, to enable machine discovery of very specific topics, levels, competencies, etc. Next slide, please. So I will show you just last couple of slides. What is this OER, Open Educational Resource? Is actually initiative which is aimed at promoting open educational resource exchange. So teaching, learning, research materials must be freely available, allowing users to retain, use, revise, mix, and distribute them. And this initiative is supported by UNESCO, by European Commission. Yet, please, next slide. I will show you what happens. We have many different OER platforms or hubs in Europe, but similarly with the educational system, which is silhouette fragmented, we also have the same fragmentation with the hubs which are supposed to remove this fragmentation. So it's interesting situation. Some hubs are larger, some have lower resources, but at the bottom table here you see that even the largest hubs, they do not support search for particular competencies. So if I'm an employer or if I'm a lecturer and I look for some materials which can help me educate my students for specific competencies, and whether I take DigiComp, whether I take UN SDGs or our developed EDU4Standards competencies, almost with no exception, we cannot find anything. So only by keywords I can search for something, but when the education landscape is very fragmented, when there are many disciplines, that doesn't really help if you only can search by content of a PowerPoint, for example. If you cannot say that I need that for bachelor level, for that particular competence, which looks for that particular European core value or for that particular European interest. So last one, as I mentioned, one of the ways to promote unification of educational system, one of the ways to removing existing barriers to interoperability, to exchange and sharing of resources, to support existing open educational resources policies, and by this complex measure, hopefully foster promotion of the topic, popularization of the topic, SAN workshop agreement, which we are now engaging in, is hopefully one of the ways to solve the problem. And I'm really looking forward to this future development in the project. This is it. Thank you. Next slide is acknowledgement for our research team at Vilnius University. And the next speaker will be Ivana Nejtovic from University of Belgrade. And she will, as I know, present more on teaching support too. Thank you.
Thank you, Vladislav. I will continue to present something more about EDU4Standard teacher support tool we have developed through this project. So first, we continue our work on framework model, which was explained by my colleague Vlad. Then we put this more into operationalization and built some sort of concept that will help us to build a teacher support tool. Next slide, please. Content in this concept is related to industry needs and small and medium enterprises perspectives, as well as EU values and interests, but supported by researchers on standardization and support of national standards bodies and NSDO. Furthermore, we based content on standardization in 4 knowledge areas. So basically, knowledge areas in this concept are a way to systematize knowledge and skills related to standardization. So basically, we use 4 knowledge areas to develop and to systemize what we already know that we know about standardization. Basically, we systemize knowledge or knowledge base in 4 knowledge areas. First one is basic knowledge on standardization needed to raise awareness. Second one is standardization interdependencies with other areas and role in specific context. The third one is practical, related to strategic use of standards. And the fourth one is related to strategic participation in standards development. Next slide, please. So we further developed knowledge areas in knowledge areas topics, and we identified more than 50 topics, and now we have further development within 100 subtopics. So basically, you can see that first, basic knowledge on standardization needed to raise awareness is related to what is standards and standardization, why it is important, who use standards, who develop standards, and how standards developed. Next slide, please. The second knowledge base, standardization, interdependence, and roles in specific context, are developed through next topics, like European system of standardization, interdependencies between standardization and research, standardization and innovation, standardization and markets, legal aspects of standardization, aspects of small and medium enterprises, and standardization, quality, infrastructure, and so on. Next slide, please. The last 2 knowledge areas are related to practical aspects, like motives for and barriers to applying standards, some skills related how to find the right standards. The last knowledge area is related to strategic participation in standards development, and some topics are, for example, motives and barriers for participation in standards development, how to participate in technical committees and working groups, and how to identify need for new standards or improvement of existing ones. Next slide. That brings us to our tool. So basically, what is EDU4Standard teacher support tool? We want that EDU4Standard tool is seen as focal point. So foundation for exchanging information, good practices, and experience, as well as teaching materials. So this is a guide for teachers who would like to start to teach standardization, as well as experienced teachers who would like to improve their own courses, and is practically a tool that will never be finished. And the idea is not only focused on tool, but on process of their development. I will explain that later. So the structure of the tool is very specific. First, we have topic. Topic is chosen to represent the unit, and educators can combine it with its own materials and use it as subtopic in their existing courses. Provided with short instructions, in EDU4Standard teacher support tool, we provide connection with ILO's framework. Furthermore, you can find here recommended teaching case studies, serious games, or other teaching materials. But we provide this with some sharing experience, good practice, as some kind of description of educators' experience in working with students, trainers, trainees, and so on. Recommendation sources or recommended sources are lists of books, chapters, research papers, and other publications that are available for the purchasing or for use to our teachers. Next slide. So we are talking about a live tool. If you go to EDU4Standard website, you can find teaching support tool. By clicking on teacher support tool, you will find our knowledge areas. By clicking on basic knowledge, for example, you can find knowledge area KA1, which is related to basic knowledge of standardization for raising awareness. You can see a topic. By clicking to any topic you see interested, you can find, next slide, please. You can find, for example, explanations and recommended teaching case studies, serious games, of course, and connection with intended learning outcomes framework, which are explained in our deliverable 2.1. Next slide. So you can see there are a lot of topics already developed, but there are empty ones too. You can go to next slide. Recommended sources, but if you want to be part of development of the EDU4Standards teacher support tool, please just see at the end of every topic and subtopic, you can find a box. So just clicking there, you can just leave your comments, your ideas. You can add more teaching materials. You can add your experience, whatever you need. So we are inviting you all to become our partners and to continue developing this tool. Next slide. So if you want to promote, or if you want to just recommend us a new topic, just be free to join our collaborative work group and to work with us together on developing our EDU4Standard teacher support tool. That will be everything I prepared today. So my task, thank you so much. And my task is to announce my colleague Hugo Parada from Universitat Politécnica de Madrid to continue with the topic of pilots.
Thank you, Anna. And now let me to present one overview about the pilots. In Work Package 3, we focus on designing and implementing a set of pilots of concrete educational experience to teach standardization across different contexts, levels, and target audience. This has been a challenging task, and because our objective was to make standardization teaching more engaging, attractive, and creative, in line with the EDU4Standard goals. For that, the pilots were designed by using a common pilot design template, building on the outcomes of Work Package 2, previously presented here. This includes the innovative teaching concepts, teaching method, learning content, intended learning outcomes aligned with the industry needs and standardization competencies. And also we provide some guidelines for the design and implementation of teaching game. And also into the task in this work package we provide a KPI based assessment framework. So in this way, we ensured coherence across pilots and supported systematic reflection and evaluation. In total, we implemented 8 pilots covering different levels from intended learning outcomes from level 4 to level 8 and representing 236 teaching hours dedicated to standardization across diverse target audience. This audience includes university, bachelor level, master level, extracurricular pilots also, and 2 in-company pilots and 1 pan-European pilot. And from educational perspective, the pilots address the key gaps identified at the European level. It means teaching methods, gaps in teaching method, in teaching contents, in lack of certification, gender perspective, and lack of reflection on values and European interests. In general, the pilots, the implementation, the design of the implementation of the pilots generates valuable best practice and lesson learned, demonstrate the practical application of innovative teaching concepts in real learning environments. Is the first times probably we have a lot things to learn from this experience, and provide inputs to support the ongoing second open call for pilots you're running in this moment. And also we could use this experience to promote the standardization teaching within European higher education institutions. This is the main results and the overview in general from the pilots. Now let me to give the floor to the pilot leaders who will be briefly present their pilots and highlight the main approach and outcomes. Now we will start with Rudy, who will present the in-company training pilot. Rudy, go ahead. Rudy, are you connected?
Yes. Now how everybody can hear me. Thank you very much, Hugo. I'm happy to tell something about our contribution to the project. At Eindhoven University, we do a lot of education on standards. We currently have a group of more than 1,000 students doing a module on standards. But in the context of EDU4Standards, I wanted to go a little bit beyond and also look at what type of education can we do outside of higher education. And in this case, we are contributing a case on in-company standardization with the idea of lifetime learning, with teaching people at different levels to be able to contribute to standardization to fill the gaps that we are seeing. So this is specifically a pilot that tries to learn from it. Of course, we integrate European values and interests here, as we do everywhere in the project, but we try to combine that with also a specific way that companies look at it. Of course, we are trying to develop reusable materials, and being one of the first pilots that was running in this context, we've been developing materials that also others can use. We want to learn about experiences and future efforts in the project. And for this, so we set up a training with 5 developers and trainings, not only from Eindhoven University, but also Tilburg University, for example. And we were very excited to have a serious game there that you will see in a moment something about as well. Now, who was the specific target? Which type of companies did we focus on? We decided to start out with a high-tech type of context. Very demanding, high technology level type of companies. I'll tell you in a moment who they are. But of course, that's not the only thing we will be doing. And in the next year, we're also going to do something for SMEs, small and medium type enterprises. So totally different context to learn from these different type of contexts. What we have done for now is develop 3 courses. 2 of them actually took place a year ago, more or less. And the third course on a much higher manager and even board level, we're going to do that in a couple of weeks. And in this case, we did it in Eindhoven in the Netherlands. Can I have the next sheet, please? So since we have already been doing this, here you see a little bit of an impression what we've been doing. We've been doing this with three, I think, ultimate type of high-tech companies, with NXP, with Philips, and with ASML, who makes lithography machines. So all of them in the field of semiconductor, which is a very core topic also in European technology policy right now. You see a couple of pictures that give a bit of an idea of the atmosphere and the serious game that we were doing there. And overall, I think we can report that it was we had a very positive evaluation. People liked the way that we've been setting it up. We also noted that it's a significant effort in setting it up. It's rather different than doing university studies to students, and particularly having a format with very short type of blocks of only 30 minutes sessions, and then a lot of breakout and a lot of interaction between the people, I think was a very good formula there. Also, the networking between the participants in this type of things is very important, and you need to cater for it. Also, specifically for this audience, you need to be very clear and have agreements in advance on not only the expectations, but also stuff like confidentiality and specific company related things which are key for a good set of understandings what you're going to do to make a success. Of course, there'll also be more critical learning points here. One of them is that the learning objective, intended learning objectives that we developed in this project, and which I think work very well for general type of education, are kind of hard to project on this type of company trainings. It also takes much more effort than you would expect in terms of get participants there. Companies are very enthusiastic, but in the end, to get people to go to 1 or 2 full days, there are a lot of other priorities that are competing within a company that have a more direct importance to a lot of people. The difficult trade-off, am I going to do it in person or are we going to do an online event? And I think you can all think of the type of pros and cons with each of these choices. We really wanted to do it in person, but yeah, it comes at the cost of not being able to engage people that are other subsidiaries in other countries for that company, etc. And also adapting to the diverse audiences of people that have very little knowledge yet about standardization and people on the other side that are active participants in bodies, etc. That is also something we learn from. That actually works quite well in the end, that people learn from each other, but it's a specific challenge, etc. also in this context. And I'm going to leave it at this for this pilot. I'm happy to give the floor to Elisabeth Staudegger from Graz, who will tell something about her experiences with the pilot. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Rudy. Thanks for handing over to me now. So Uni Graz is the one who was in charge with defining the intended learning outcomes in the EDU4Standards project. So it was us who had to integrate the European values and European interests into standardization education. And this is why we soon found an acronym, which is STAND-UWI, that we used for all our activities from now on. So this was planned as the STAND-UWI summer school for, well, during the planning, we found that it would be mostly important to have teachers, educators, trainers, and supporters who are able to integrate STAND-UWI, standardization, in their respective work. And thus we decided to dedicate our summer school to educators. This is the STAND-UWI's Educators Academy at University of Graz. Talking to educators, to academic teachers about standardization, what came out very soon was that those people are highly interested also into how to integrate research findings and solutions into standards. And thus we had another focus besides educators, also the researchers wanted to gain some knowledge about standardization. And then another group stepped in. This was TTOs, the technology transfer offices that are established at every university. Their task is to to support researchers with valorization of their outcomes and findings. And now, besides IPR, intellectual property rights, they also have to care for standards. And so this group also wanted to learn within our summer school on STAND-UWI. Well, this being a pilot within a research project, we decided to slightly refine again the concept of the summer school. Now it was threefold: the Educators Academy, the TTO's summer school, and also the researchers' summer school. The Educators Academy, as every summer school I know, was intended to be held in 2 phases: a 2 weeks online phase for preparation. We had the kickoff at the beginning of September, and afterwards, within 2 weeks, participants got to know each other via online meetings. They had some material prepared there and offered there for self-study, so to say. But then, mid of September, it all started in person here in Graz, 5 days in a row. Again, since now it was threefold, we had to build a fundamental basic block where we tried to, well, not so much to teach. This is one of the insights we found, more to open a room for exchange of experts. Each of those 26 participants from very, very specific and different backgrounds, be it researchers, be it TTOs, be it people from research outside universities, be it people from standardization bodies, so many different backgrounds, different fields of interest came into that threefold summer school. So we had to deal with it, and we decided from the very beginning, treat them as experts, treat them as peers. Additionally to those 26, we had a couple of, well, 12 speakers, again experts, but those experts in standardization education. Well, it started on Monday with values. What brings us all together is European values, European interests. The second day was dedicated to standardization. In the morning, we had 3 lectures of experienced standardization educators from academia. In the afternoon, we refined and straightened the knowledge through teachers or speakers from standardization bodies, also with some games. And on Wednesday, third day, we split up the groups. So now TTOs mostly discussed policy strategies. The researchers went first steps towards how to put research findings into standards. And the educators got to know the intended learning outcomes. Day number 4, which was dedicated to, sorry, I see I have to hurry up to speed up. Well, let me sum up very quickly. Day 4 was on 5 was dedicated to the educators, but what we found, this is much too long. 5 days in a row, as Rudy mentioned, for every professional, it might be much too long. So we decided to reduce it to 3 days, like other professionals as well. What went very well was the interest of the participants. They loved to learn about standardization. They wanted to go further. They asked for next events, for next courses. What we also wanted to or had to face is that when people are accustomed to talk, to exchange, to discuss in person, it is very hard to integrate online formats. So this could be done maybe, but not as a presentation, but more like having an interview, having a lively exchange, also if your partner is somewhere online. Well, having said that, we decided to go next steps for the Educators Academy to really focus on academic teachers and let the TTOs and also the researchers be skilled and trained by others. Here are some photographs who show the people that were in. We also had one little goodie, so to say. This was a mug, a coffee mug for each of them with their names on the backside, which you can't see here, but the EDU4Standards logo, of course, dominated the mug. Having said that, the very final remark, it was great fun to have the possibility to exchange with so many different experts on standardization. And now I want to hand over to the next extracurricular format pilot that was held in Pordimi. Nizar, please take the floor.
Thank you very much, Elizabeth. Hello, everyone. So I would like to present my pilot, which has been conducted at Politecnico di Milano in Italy. So the pilot is within the scope of Passion in Action program. So Passion in Action program is a program for professors who are passionate about certain course, certain topic, in order to provide a course for students. And obviously this course is not mandatory. So only students that are interested in the course will be able to register to the course, to enroll and to attend the course. So my course is within this action. It is called Standardization for Engineers. So the objectives of the pilot are actually to develop an extracurricular course on standardization. And it introduces actually the students to the basics of standardization, its role in engineering and innovation in industry, but also to familiarize the participants with key standardization organizations. Yeah, the thing here is that we don't have courses dedicated to standardization at Politecnico di Milano, and this was actually the first course. Also very important is to in this course is to emphasize the link between standards, standardization, and European values. So the target was MSc and BSc engineering students. So applications we had from really different study programs, mechanical engineering, design, sustainability, management engineering, etc. I conducted the course in November and December 25, 3 sessions in total with 12 hours of teaching. So the first session, it was with respect to the basics of standardization, its importance, etc. Then we had a serious game, and the second session, it was the IEEE Mars Space Colony game, and then one session, the last session, it was completely online. Next slide, please. So here are the main results. So you can see a couple of impressions from the course, the working group simulation that we had. So it was a very positive course because I got a very good evaluation from the students with respect to the course. They showed also a lot of motivation. Students also understood very well the relevance of standardization for engineering innovation competitiveness. Excellent exam results also, and very interesting. At the end of the course, students came to me and then approached me and told me, yeah, what's next? So they would like to pursue or to progress actually with the topic. And I got an email from one student really that would like to do something more in the area of standards and standardization. Now, what are the learning and reflections? So first of all, attracting students is a main challenge. The only thing is that if we attract them, I think we are able to convince them very well about the importance and the relevance of the topic, and then they show actually also high level of motivation. I use the concept, a new concept, which is I call teaching by question. So I try to start with questions every time I would like to introduce a new concept, and then we discuss that, etc. Sometimes the slides I prepare I don't need because everything we have done we covered in the discussion, so it works extremely well. Serious games are a key success factor. This is also where the students and their evaluation said hybrid delivery is essential, at least in my university. This is a must. And I think that online delivery could enable scalability because, yeah, one of the biggest issues we have is the availability of a big room during the semester, which is not possible, and which led us to get a small room. But if we have an online delivery, this can boost actually the scalability of the course. That was it from my side, and I would like to hand over to Knut Plint.
Thank you, Anissa. Yeah, this pilot is a little bit different one because the objective was to reach as many researchers as possible, and we did that by using some searches in Scopus, a literature database, looking for researchers which have affiliations of members of EATO. EATO is a European research and technology organization, and we did before we kind of implemented it in full. We did it just with a few Fraunhofer researchers early summer, and then the pilot one in November, December. These were 6 online webinars of around an hour. And very positive was kind of the several 10,000 of emails led at the end to almost 2,000 registrations, 900 participations, and then 400 participants of the webinar. Next slide, please. It means it's really effective to reach a large number of researchers. There's little or almost no interaction. We are still collecting questionnaires to have a nice sound base for a quantitative assessment, and then based on that, we will kind of revise that. Currently, I'm in discussion with the Marie Curie Alumni Association. They want some similar things, but shaped to their needs, and therefore it's an interesting maybe exercise also to leverage to other research communities, and we have to see where it's going to work out. You find information about content and the videos here on the EDU4Standards homepage. Thank you very much.
So hi, my name is Sokol Tominay from Technical University Berlin, and I'm conducting the pilot module Standardization and Sustainability, which is a bachelor and master level course for all degrees at the Technical University. And in this course, we basically try to convey the fundamentals, but also more advanced topics of standardization to students, and we try to combine these with hot topics of technology like blockchain, artificial intelligence, but also with other factors or important goals like gender equality, geopolitics, ethical values. This module has started in October 25 and it goes until February, March 26. It's conducted at our university, and we have roughly 30 students who are participating in the module. The exciting and interesting thing about this pilot is that we invite a lot of guest researchers, guest lecturers from different business associations, from the German SDO Dean, from the industry, from academia, and we have very vast network of collaborations also with other universities from our partners, from our partner consortium. Next slide, please. And I believe that this keeps it very interesting for students. You see on this slide a couple of photos from our guest visits, so to speak. And what we have learned now is that it's quite important for students to not feel greenwashed by the title of a module. So I have had discussions with students. Is this really going into the sustainability kind of direction enough? But throughout the semester, the students have understood that sustainability is a very broad topic, and you have different, like quite distinct and different fields that we can address. And I think that our students have been quite happy about the course. I see that a lot of them are coming to the lectures. I've had a very stable participation rate because usually in other semesters I've seen that students start coming at the beginning, but then it becomes less and less. And yeah, the guest lectures were quite successful. Students seem very happy, and I have a very active participation in class. A lot of questions. My learning or my kind of challenge was that it's quite hard to make students come to the lectures because they can look at everything from their home. They're used to kind of Corona studying, but to enrich classes by guest lectures, by serious games really helps, in my opinion, to keep students on board and keep them interested. So we also offer a certificate in collaboration with Dean. We have an event in 2 months where students will get a certificate that says that they have achieved a status of knowing the fundamental of standardization. It will be on the roof terrace of Dean, and this is also a nice add-on for this course, which in my opinion, makes this course a valuable course to students, and we are quite happy with the results so far. Soon we will also have the results of the evaluation, and then we will know a bit more what the students think. Thank you.
Thank you all. And my task today is to present a pilot related to bachelor course. So basically, the main objective of this course is to provide bachelor students with advanced academic knowledge in the field of standardization and help them to understand its importance and impact. But specific aspect of this pilot is that we have bachelor students and business studies. So our target are practically second-year students, and age of enrolled students is about 20 years. First, we have the first trial last year. Because of student protest in Serbia, we had online classes from May to July. And this year we have classical classes on site at University of Belgrade from March to June. Specific aspect of this course is that this is existing course established in 1997, and I'm teaching this course since 2011. Next slide, please. So based on first part and online in the online environment, our results and what we learn, lesson learned are next. So we had 439 students. Basically, through the work with them, we find out that they are highly motivated to solve industry problems. They want to be involved in meaningful activities, and we provide them many activities in which they had a role of standardization consultants. Very good idea, and went quite well with the idea of activation of knowledge. We find out that students want to see a bigger picture, and they are less motivated to analyze literature. But in comparison with our previous generation, we offered them one of the assignments to prepare or to design the video using AI apps. And it was a very successful exercise, and with 50% of success. Basically, what we find out is that teaching small group is completely different from teaching large groups, and teaching younger students is very different from teaching older students. The challenges for us for this year pilot are related to providing good quality of digital teaching material. And we used a lot of external activities, so provide opportunity to our students to search, and we find out that informative websites of SDOs becoming important for teaching. So we are now discussing with some SDOs to offer us something like teaching base. And what is a challenge for us is to show the real world of standardization now to our students, and we will try to do our best through the next pilot. So my task now is to announce Gerten. Gerten?
I think he is not here.
Oh.
Then I think we
Then we
can
move on.
go to the other, yeah, this was we leave it in the slides. And now we have the SBS pilot.
Thank
Yes.
you, Maria. Here I am.
Right.
John Chanove here from Small Business Standards. As part of the learning exercise to see what works and what doesn't work, we wanted to use the experience of the in-company training to reach out to a broader network of small and medium enterprises. Small and medium enterprises are obviously heavily underrepresented in the standardization work. And a part of it is their understanding of the importance of the standardization, not only the resources to be part of the process, what it is. So EDU4Standards creates a great opportunity with the pilots to test and to improve the know-how of SMEs. Now, using the same framework, as I said, of the in-company training, we want to add two elements. One is that making sure that SMEs look at the standards not only from the technical side of it, but as a business strategy, particularly when it comes to access to particularly lock-in technologies, or they are the developers of specific technologies, so they can take revenue and presence in the standards. So they have to be looking at it from a more strategic perspective. And our experience in the small business standards is that it is not always the case. SMEs are often just very comfortable being users, but then suffering the fact of not contributing to it. The second element that we thought it was useful to add to the in-company trainings was to get feedback from SMEs. While it is essential to train experts, and in particular SME experts in this case, on the standardization benefits, processes, and deliverables, I think that it is also important to have a feedback loop in understanding what are the business challenges that companies are facing, and together work in identifying how standards can respond to those business challenges. So these courses are an opportunity to get that feedback. How we want to do it, we have two ways in which we plan to do it. One on a more broad level in English, which is addressed to the small business standards members and the members of the members. That will be most probably online. We are trying exploring the possibility of doing it hybrid, but most of our membership are not in Brussels. So it would be a quite unbalanced situation. Maybe online is best. And the second one, a sectoral base. So SMEs from one particular sector, and that with one of our members, we're working to do that in Germany. Those two pilots will happen in the first half of 2026, and we will be targeting both professionals in SMEs, and we think also very important, professionals working in intermediaries, trade associations or chambers that are in direct contact with SMEs on a daily basis. And these are our SME training pilots.
Thank you. So we've completed the overview of the pilots. We have two last presentations left, but I just want to check. I just want to check if there are any questions that needs to be addressed. Okay, I think you are already addressing them in the chat. Now I saw that Gerten is back. Do you confirm, Gerten, that you are online now?
Yeah, sorry, I was in another
Okay,
meeting. So no.
then before we move on, maybe you can say a few words about your pilot here.
Sure, and I will be quick. So basically, at Delft University of Technology, we value a student-centered approach to teaching. We want to activate students. So basically, what we have done is we have developed a serious game. Now, the game is basically for students to learn more about the different strategies they can apply when they're working at a company in order to set a dominant standard in the market. So often you see different standards competing with each other in the market, right? And what the students now here in this game represent, basically they represent a company that wants to set a dominant video gaming console platform. Now they can apply all kinds of different strategies. So for instance, pricing, marketing, appropriability strategies, compatibility strategies, but they also need resources for that. Resources include financial resources, production capabilities, but for instance also know-how. And of course they have scarce resources here, so they have to make choices. Some events can also occur, such as the big company that en masse supports a certain standard, or antitrust laws. So basically what we have developed now is we have finished a system dynamics model. So that's here, this presentation, I show you just a very easy version of the system dynamics model, but there's a very complex model behind this. And we have now also played this game with students. The feedback we have now also incorporated in the new version of the game, and that game will then also be played at the partner universities, where we'll also collect some input, and then we hope to finalize the game. And then we are open to also playing the game at your institution. Thank you. So I give the word now to, I think, Rudy. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. We are coming to the end of today's webinar. This is the one but last presentation, I believe. And we already heard about all the pilots, but of course we also have to look at how we're going to disseminate this knowledge to other parties. This is all about standards, and one way that CENELEC talks about a standard is a technical document designed to use as a rule, guideline or definition, consensus-built, repeatable way of doing something. So thought of why don't we try to see if our results and learning can be actually captured in a standard type of document itself. So we took the initiative basically to create a CENELEC workshop agreement that would share our experiences and where new people could benefit from when they start to engage in this area. We started that trajectory in the end of last year with a kick-off call with over 35 participants trying to set this up, both from people within EDU4Standards, but also for outsiders. This is an open process, and right now this has now been, the project plan has been formally adopted, so now we officially go into the drafting phase of making this CEN workshop agreement. Can we go to the next page? Thank you. So what is it about? And I just added here the formal scope here. I'm not going to read it out completely to you, but it's basically about many of the learning items that we have from EDU4Standards to try to disseminate that via this CEN workshop agreement, but of course open input for others as well. We're not going to try to cover the whole field because I think it's rather important that we also align with efforts and activities that already exist there in rather than overlapping or competing with them. And most importantly here, I want to mention the Pan-European certificate that has been proposed last year by the high-level forum of the European Commission, and where CENELEC and ETSI are now in the phase of implementing that. And the idea is with our workshop agreement, we really want to align and these things work well together. So this is not a competing activity, but the idea is really that whatever is going to be in the CEN workshop agreement aligns perfectly and feeds into the certificate that then CENELEC and ETSI will be working upon. Now, we're not finished with this work. The whole workshop agreement is a process that will take about a year, and so we'll continue throughout 2026 on doing that. I hope that gave you a little bit idea about one of the dissemination activities. It's not certainly the only one, but this one we wanted to focus on during this this call. And now I would like to hand over the floor, I think, to what I believe to be our last speaker, which is Kirsten from CEN itself.
Thank you, Rudy. And yes, I also believe I'm the last one, but I'll hand back to Maria. We just take a quick look at the Student Standardization Association that we are setting up in the project. So first of all, what is it and why are we doing it? So as colleagues here have already talked about, we have a need for new standardization experts to come into the game. And our goal is with the student association to make it a little bit more accessible for younger people as well and present standardization in a different way. We have the idea right now that this association will offer an alternative way to build skills and also be a student forum to discuss topics of their interest and that are important to them. Next slide, please. So how will we establish this? Well, first of all, we've conducted some academic standard days from which we have drawn a lot of lessons, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that. And some of these lessons we have discussed directly with the NSBs who have organized them and asked them what kind of activities would they propose into a student association. So this is a little bit on the offer side. Currently, we have an open call for the students that are interested to join the ESSA to then hear on the demand side, so to say, how they would like this association to be shaped. And we'll do that through a set of group meetings that will take place during February. And we aim to have an official launch in Q2 of this year. Next slide, please. Yes, thank you. So I just mentioned the academic standard days. We have now had 5 of these events, and we have another 2 coming up this spring. And these are also aimed at students and at presenting standardization in a more engaging way, which is pretty much the topic for all of our activities. But they are standalone events, so one big splash to create attention in universities and among students, and to also build bridges and show how these topics and skills are relevant for the industry. We have gathered a handbook with all the lessons we have learned from the first 4 days that we did, and you can access it when you scan the QR code here, but otherwise just go to the website under Academic Standard Days. Next slide, please. So here's what we've done so far with the ASD. We started out in Stockholm, I've been to Madrid, Milano, Berlin, and Ljubljana. And this is really a concept that we hope will continue after the project as well. There's not one particular shape that it takes, but we do aim to, like I said, create interest for standardization, show basic strategic value of standardization, and especially in the field of digitalization and also green transition, how standardization matters and plays an important role, and also show a bit the skills that are needed to participate in standardization and how these skills can also be valuable when looking for a job after the end of your studies. In the spring, as I said, we have already 2 ASDs that have been confirmed, one in Nicosia and one in Iași in Romania. And then we're looking forward also to days in Graz, Belgrade, Helsinki, Dublin, and more to come. Next slide, please. So back to this call for students. So we have it open right now on our website, and really hope that those of you here who are in daily contact with students will also share it. As mentioned, we will have 3 focus group meeting taking place in February that we have tried to spread a bit through different timings so that we could reach as many as possible. And the only criteria really to participate is to be a bit interested in industry policy and find it interesting to speak about European competitiveness and innovation, and then be able to speak English. It doesn't matter if you're a bachelor student or a master's student or what type of discipline you're studying. We are quite sure that standardization is relevant for all disciplines. If not, we're happy to demonstrate it if you don't believe us. But we hope that some of you will share this call so we can get some nice input for the people that we are trying to entertain, basically. Thank you. That's all for me.
Sorry, I was muted. Thank you, Kirsten, and every one of the speakers for your presentations. The idea today was to basically bring all of you through our 2 years journey. So it's been a little bit rich, but we hope we were able to pass on the main message and achievements. Let me go through quickly the questions that have been put in the chat during the event. Um, so I think there were some comments about the presentations, and some were already addressed by Knut. Some
Maybe
questions
just
about the
one
CWA. Yes,
comment.
go on.
I shared the link to the SEN workshop agreement because
Mhm.
also other formats like the ITU focus group was mentioned. If you are interested to join, you can still register. The secretary is the DIN. You have to send an email to Bora, and then we decide on whether you can join. But we are very open to have as many people here on board. Thank you very much. But also thank you to all the presentations.
Yes, thank you. And there were some comments asking about the recordings. The event is recorded for those who arrived later, so it will be on our website in the next few days. Yeah, all the comments were addressed in the chat, so thank you to my colleagues for addressing the questions live during the presentations. I just think there are two people with the hand raised, but I don't know if it's a mistake or you did it on purpose because you want to talk. Lucas and Michaela. If you want to say something, feel free to use the chat, okay, instead. Okay, no, so it was I think it was just by mistake. So okay, thank you very much. I think we are at the end of the event. I don't see other questions in the chat. And we hope we will be able to follow up with all of you to be involved in our activities, and also we will also organize other events and other webinars during this year to update you on the progress on the main activities that were highlighted today. Have a good rest of the afternoon and the rest of the week, and thanks again, and see you soon. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye
Thank
bye.
you. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.